Let's just start this shit. Hello YouTube, it's Derek from DevMentors. You know, when I was at the beginning of my so-called career, I was watching a lot of videos on the YouTube, reading a lot of programming books, reading articles on certain blogs regarding the stuff that at that time I was really interested in. And at some point, me being junior developer, I started asking myself a very fundamental question. Am I good enough to actually reach this point? Because especially on YouTube, I had this impression that all the people that were making videos about certain things that at that time seemed to be very advanced, they were typing the code for an hour without any mistake. They obviously knew what should be written and in which particular order, and it was very weird impression. You probably know this impression when watching something. It looks trivial. You know that, oh, alright, that this is the thing that I was looking for. It's now it's obvious. But when you were starting typing a code, it's okay, I'm already lost. So I was starting doubting about my skills and whether I will at some point reach this certain level. I'm not talking even about the greatest of our industry like Greg Young or Martin Fowler, but even regular, let's say, YouTubers. I was doubting that I at some point will even reach this level. I'm not saying that I already reached, but the point is the following. Especially, I would say this is something that is dedicated for the junior developers in most cases, of course. The programming itself is the profession like any other, which means that you need a time and practice and of course knowledge gathered from some sources to become a better developer. There is no excuse in here. There is no magic wand that eventually will make you better developer. Of course, some people will gather the certain level or reach the certain level faster than the others, but the practice is what makes you a better developer eventually. And at certain point, we all sucked. We were bad. We're creating a bad code. And this is what, in my opinion, distinguishes seniors from junior developers. Seniors basically made a lot of stupid mistakes, which they learned from. And they now obviously can see the patterns in certain behaviors, certain arrangement of the code. They already knew, they have this, they experienced that, the pain and the frustration related to maintaining, to refactoring the certain code. And this is something that maybe for the junior developers is not that obvious. Of course, there are other factors that distinguish senior from juniors, but the experience is built not only on top of the books, videos, but also on failures and the crappy code that you've created. So I would like that if you are a junior developer and maybe you are doubting whether it's the profession for you, you just need to be patient enough and you need to, I would say, learn from your own mistakes. And we do a lot of mistakes still as seniors, and we are learning still new things. This is natural continuation. This job, there is no end in this particular job. You still learn new things every single week, even sometimes every single day you learn something new technology, new concept. There is something new that change your optics on certain subjects, even slightly, but still. So I thought that maybe to prove that this actually is a thing, I thought that we'll do something that hopefully will put a smile on your face. And I thought that we will do a code review of my own code from 2014, which is, it's a crap basically, but it's one of the most important source codes that I've ever created. And the reason for that is that this was the part of my engineer's thesis, or I guess bachelor's thesis. I'm not quite sure how it's translated in English. Probably we'll just put it somewhere in here. But basically, that was something that I was creating to reach my engineer's degree. I honestly forgot about this code. Of course, when I was finishing my whole my whole code. I was really proud of it. But I just like few days ago, I just recalled about this, and when I opened the writer with this code, I was just very surprised, and I wanted to just share with you and show you what type of code I was producing like 8-9 years ago. So hopefully this will put a smile on your face. And one thing though, it is not only because I want to ensure juniors developers to just keep learning and become a better developers. Also, I would say that it is not actually that a stupid idea, and this is something that I like do from time to time. What I mean is doing the code review of myself. And why is that, you may ask? And the reason is very simple. As I said, you are learning new things every day or every week in this profession, and it's actually a very good some sort of reality check whether am I actually progressing, whether there's something that actually has improved in my developer skills. So the worst thing that could happen is that, let's say you're opening the code that you wrote like 3-4 years ago, and for you it's perfect. I mean, it's my humble opinion, but if after 4 years you don't see any sort of weird things in your source code, there might be a chance that you're just not improving, because it's very unlikely that you reach the point. I mean, you probably need to be a programming god to reach a point during which you basically have no mistakes and nothing, simply none of the lines could be improved. But that's something that I do from time to time. Even my code that I posted on the YouTube channel, like the CQRS mini course, probably a few lines I would change now. Maybe even a few classes would be rearranged in some way. Not mentioning our first series, so the shop about microservices. I would say half of the code in there probably now should be rearranged, to put it this way. If you watched both our D-Shop series and our full course on our platform, so microservices.net, you would see that the difference between those two is quite significant. And this is because of that. You should never be fully satisfied with what you created like a few years ago. Probably it's a sign that maybe you should improve in certain areas, because I personally never met a person who would be just satisfied with like the code that he or she created like a couple of years ago. So let's just jump into the rider and see that monster that I created like 8-9 years ago to get my engineer's degree. Hopefully they will not get me this title back after someone from my university will see this material. Hopefully it does not work that way. All right, so before we actually jump into the code, I just wanted to spend a few seconds on the catalog structure, because that's already something interesting. So for Polish viewers, you probably know what it means. For non-Polish viewers, it basically in the short form this engineer's thesis. So as you can see already, was naming the catalogs in Polish, but hopefully the whole code is written in English, which is good. However, the structure is kind of weird because there is no like standardized SRC for the source code. The tests catalog actually would be useless because I was not writing any sort of unit tests at that point. I was not doing that kind of activity. That's like README with two extensions, MD and the text, sample HTML, send bucket JPEG, kind of weird. The reason for that is that actually this was the artifacts generated by the Bitbucket. I was using this provider at that time. And yeah, apparently I was not, I didn't want to bother myself with removing it to make it cleaner. But yeah, this is just the beginning. When we go to the code compare, you can see that in here we have the SLN, so not even on the root directory, but we also have the sudo from the Visual Studio 2020. 12. Kind of weird, should be rather excluded, but the answer why it's not excluded comes when we do ls in here, and you can see the object and binaries, etc. So you can obviously see that I was not using git ignore. Yeah, my awareness about the git at that point was quite poor. I was using some sort of UI source tree or git kraken or something like this for managing my my commits, and yeah, the git ignore was apparently something that I was not using. Kinda sad, but hey, at least I was not using the zip files or some other I would say cloud drive to maintain my code. So in a nutshell, what the code compare is all about, that was the web application which was detecting the possible duplicates within two sets of files that were given to the program. So let's say if you wanted to detect whether some sort of file is a creep of another, maybe someone just basically took all of your text and put it, and let's say said that it's now his sort of text. Yeah, you could, in theory, let's say, detect the possible duplicates, and I was using two algorithms to detect the duplicates within the text. First was naive algorithm, which was just line by line. I was taking the line and checking whether in the other file this line appeared in any sort of position. Of course, very naive, because if there was some sort of character, even one character, the equality operator would say that those are two different lines, which is why I also implemented the more advanced option, which was the fuzzy hash algorithm. And the fuzzy hash algorithm was basically based on the fact that you can specify triggers depending on the language. So let's say that the trigger could be thought about the most frequently appeared words within the certain language. Let's say for the English that would be the, and, I, or, etc. And if during the scanning of the whole file, if the trigger actually was found, then up to this point we would just take the text and hash it. So as a result, once I would just give you the whole, let's say, file of the being a string, like big as string, I would end up with the list of hashes, and because the hash is the function which for the same input would give you this exactly same output. If two hashes are basically the same, I would know that this part of the text is basically identical, so this is some sort of duplicate within those two texts. And based on the number of identical hashes, I would calculate the similarity of two files. Just in a nutshell, this is how it worked. But yeah, let's just dive into the code and see how it works. Already a few errors, but the reason is that I'm running this on Mac, and that was written .NET 4.5 in ASP.NET MVC, not even the Web API, with AngularJS actually. So in here we have the app code. Let's just maybe go in here. What is that? I have no clue, to be honest. Some highlight, readme, highlight JS. I guess that was the library for highlighting the text on the Bootstrap components, just to see what type of text was actually the duplicate, but I have no clue why the readme is the part of this repository. Kind of weird, but yeah, let's just move forward. App data, empty, I have no clue. This is rather some ASP.NET MVC configuration, which was kind of standard, probably didn't even, the routing, etc. If you have ever worked with ASP.NET MVC, you probably know this stuff. Probably add very few things of few changes in here. Actually, I can see that the bundle, I was using the bundle at that time, actually good to plug all the stuff that I put into the JS. And yeah, all the stuff regarding the AngularJS was in here in the areas. So you can see that I have few areas: admin, code compare, help page, which is kind of weird, probably the default one, yeah. the home and the user, let's say the admin, the controller, root controller. It's like the MVC controller that you can probably know. Only admin MVC. It's probably something that I created. Yeah, some sort of authorized attribute. A critical failure has occurred. Yeah, so Rider already can see that this code is not gonna be the best and suggests me to just close it. Yeah, let me just get back to you in a second. All right, let me just now maybe jump into the JS. Oh, that's actually I forgot how bad this code actually looked. Let me just see. What do we have in here? So, oh, this actually is good. Scope, lock or unlock user. So very, very predictable method. And let me just see. I passed the user, assigned this to DTO. I was already using DTO. That's kind of a surprise. And if the user is locked, I was calling the post. I'm not quite sure why the put, but at this point I was not using the put as far as I remember. So any sort of change would be post. And on success, so this is the promise. On success, I would change the lock to is locked to false, and or using the toast. Also another surprise. And on error, there was error could not unlock user. Very descriptive. And as you can see, sometimes I was using semicolon, sometimes not. Yeah, just pure freestyle with the JS. Accepts anything that you'll give to him. So yeah, very, very good code. Let's just get maybe further. Yeah, and the question to you, you can just pause the video if you want. Where could you expect the main functionality of the whole application? Exactly in the controller, because yes, I was at the beginning, right? You know the feeling. Let me just go to maybe admin controller, and you already can see. You can feel it, right? I was not even using the access modifiers. Yeah, screw it. Private, internal, who knows? Probably maybe this is the private. Sort of conventions. No, I've never heard about the conventions with the underscore, but yeah, screw it. And let's see the CTX. Actually, I remember this one because this is how I was using the name for the DB contexts. So this is the EF6 or 5, and this is, as you can see, the three entities that I had in here. So the user, trigger, and the language. Those three were kept in SQL database. Of course, you could just expect the SQL in here. Actually, that's good that I was using not like in-memory implementation or something. And let me just see. So DB context directly injected into the controller. What a surprise. And in here, let's see. This is the get, and I was getting the users. Okay, so DB users were select, and then the projection to the DTO directly. And where is tool? Oh, that's a tool array. So I was materializing this in here. In here, that's iQueryable. Of course, async await is not even in here. I mean, come on, let's be tough and use the synchronous overload. So that's actually very, very funny, because look at the code in here. So users were select, and I'm still on the iQueryable. I didn't even materialize this to the result, and I'm checking whether this is null or not. So what it says, expression is always false, but you can clearly see that at this point I was not even using the rider, because now clearly I can see that this actually makes no, of course I see that it's not materialized, but it makes no sense completely. It's never gonna work, and in here I'm materializing this to array. It's just, yeah, it's already good. Let me see. This is a lock user. Okay, so we've seen this method, lock user, and that's that's also cool. So the story is that when I was doing negation, I guess the friend of mine suggested me to use a triple negation because it's very visible. So if you would just do is not admin, you know, sometimes maybe the developer will not see that there's negation here, but if you will do 3 negations, it actually means the same as 1, but it's more visible. So I was using triple negation to just say that something is false. Yeah, and actually I was using this for a while, and yeah, that's slightly funny when I watch it now. Of course, no curly brackets at this point. Yeah, after being more involved, let's say in the open source, I started to use it. I know that not all developers use the curly brackets even for the single return. For me, it's simply more. It's way easier to read the code, but at this point, as you can see, I was not using it, but this is the surprising thing. So I was not aware about the fact that this queryable will be always like not null. However, I was already using this trick with updating the entity without getting this by identifier. So this is actually the trick that works still in EF Core. If you want, let's say, to change one property and you don't want to get the whole object from the database, like in here, I want to just change the value of the flag of my user. So what you can see is just you can create the entity. You need, of course, the primary key, which will be used for finding the entity, the row actually to update. So in this case, it's like C user ID equals user ID. Of course, no object initializer. Probably this is what the writer suggests. Yeah, object initializer should be something like this. But you need the primary key, and in this case, what you need to change. So in here is locked equals true, because this is the method for locking the user. Then you are doing db the entity and attach, and in this case you are passing the entity, and then you are marking what changed. So the change tracker will know what SQL query to produce. So in this case, I'm saying the property is locked was modified, and then you're calling save changes async. And without doing the get, you can update the entity within the SQL. I'm not quite sure why I was calling this C, because C, I would understand U, but C is completely bizarre. I have no clue why I was calling this C. Probably copy pasted this from Stack Overflow or something. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, but actually this is something that I'm slightly proud of. However, as you can see in here, I was using async await. Well, that's actually a surprise. So I'm not quite sure whether I'm not quite sure whether I knew what this actually does. As you can see, the async await is in here. In here, I'm just calling this synchronously freestyle once again. Do we have anything fun in here? Probably no. The include using the string. I'm not quite sure whether there was an overload for it. Let me just see. Oh, probably now I cannot just expect this, but yeah, that's something that it's not very cool. In here, first or default, it's rather should be single or default, because the identifier, we supposed that only one result should have it. So maybe not a big mistake, but actually this rather should be single or default. And yeah, all the assignments on the update, it's great. As you can see also in here, we also have the async await, but the method suggests that it's like synchronous, but yeah, who would guess? Okay, let me just go to the code compare. So compare controller, that was all about this comparison mechanism. As you can see, method quick, that was for this naive implementation, which was just comparing line by line. And also there should be something for, yeah, advanced compare is in here. So that was the advanced comparison. Let me start with this quick. Oh geez, so you can see the whole logic also in here. The for each loop, actually I was using the for each loop, which is good. So I was getting the files from one container, so set A, this is the set B, and then I was looping through the files, and I was doing the whole logic. So it was like every file with every from the other set was being compared. And let me just see what it's in here. Anything very spectacular? Once again, the object initializer not in here. I'm not quite sure why the DTO is already, okay, it's being returned in here as a result. Of course, no string builder. No, let's just add immutable strings. Immutability doesn't exist in my universe, so don't care. And yeah, file read all lines, then similarity, and let me just see. Quick compare line by line. Yeah. So as you can see, static class. Let's just and already the first legendary word appeared. Helper is in here, ladies and gentlemen. So helper can be found in the utils. What a surprise! So can't compare utils.helper contains this class, which actually is not static to my knowledge, as I can see. So the method is static in here. Let me just see, compare files line by line. And as you can see, this whole thing is that we have the lines from one file from the another, out decimal oh Jesus Christ, whoa. Okay, so I probably didn't know how to return. Why the hell I was using out in here? Okay, let me just see this in just a second. So the idea in here is that I was simply going through using for loop this time, and I was simply checking whether the line is exactly the same. If so, actually I was removing the white spaces. Wow, that's actually good. So yeah, the space was replaced with the empty string, and if that was equal to the line, any sort of line from the another file, I was adding this to same lines collection, and probably, yeah, and based on that the similarity was calculated. So if there were two lines in each file and one of the lines was duplicated, then similarity would be like 50%. But wait, this actually is very tricky. So similarity was as an out and return and assigned in here, but this returns the quick compare lines DTO. What the hell is that? Okay, so this returns me the line number, line, same lines. Okay, so where was the duplicate and CSS color already? Very good design in here. And I was returning this list in here. Okay, so that's kind of weird. Okay, and because I didn't know how to create a tuple, I probably created the similarity and passed this as out. And yeah, and the similarity was assigned effectively to DTO and returned. Yeah, so not the best, I would say. Let me just move forward. Do we have also some updates? Yeah, this also is, yeah, also like in here, I was, oh, wait, I've got something. Wait, advanced compare, non-async, task factory, start new. Wait, but this, wait, this returns list, but this is the start new, it returns task. How this, wait. Oh, look at this shit. So I was using, wait, where is that? Actually, my pointer actually, yeah, wanted to. So I was using task factory start new, which was creating the new task, and I was using dot result to get the immediate result. So I was using blocking operation on dot result to get the result from the task that I was creating, and I put this synchronous function into it. That's yeah, 200 IQ in here. Task factory. I'm very curious whether I knew what I was doing, because I was at first point I was kind of, wait, what the hell? I don't use start new anymore. But yeah, why this actually returns me the actual result, not the task of T, but actually this was in here. So yeah, asynchronous operation, which is now blocked by the dot result. No problem for me. Let me just maybe go into another helper, ladies and gentlemen, advanced compare helper, fuzzy hash. And do we have any? Oh, that was actually something that I was also really proud of. The first time in my application that I was using yield return. So as you can see, I'm returning IEnumerable of advanced compare file result. And I remember that that was the first time I used the yield return. And that was, I think that there was also one or two more places in which I really wanted at some point to use yield return, because once I understood the idea, of course, to be clear, I understood how this works on the high level. I didn't know about like the whole state machine underneath and how this is implemented on the intermediate language level. Like, forget about it. But I knew that, yeah, I can just create a yield return and I can return IEnumerable of T and it will just simply work. Something that in 99% I could just achieve using the select, but yeah, actually select underneath is also based on the yield return, so yeah. But if you want to, at this point, and you probably already can see, I really wanted to create my code in a very complicated way. The more pain reading this and analyzing, it means that I'm very smart and you're just too dumb to understand what actually is happening in here. And yeah, actually now I'm kind of feel like an idiot because I have no clue what happens in here, and there's too much like indexes in here. I skipped the first part of the for, so yeah, very smart. Probably this index is declared somewhere, yeah, in here. Also, yeah, but I was doing the code, but the code arrangement, like private static in here, the hash string, which should rather be probably some other helper, but yeah, who cares. Now the public method, which is also being exposed, and to another private, so yeah, no order regarding the access modifiers, who cares. Let me see, what do we have, and probably this whole thing continues. Yep. So basically DB context injected into the controller, doing some weird stuff that I'm not quite sure I was understanding. You could already see also that I was doing a lot of Java code, because I was using this, and I was probably using this in more places. I remember that. Yeah, this also in here. And that was because I was doing quite a lot of Java on my during my classes from the object-oriented programming and some other classes as well. Actually, the C# was tackled only on 2 classes, so basics of the web applications and parallel programming or something like this. Some other magic strings, actually, no, sorry, there is a comment in here, so no need to extract this to a constant value, bytes to megabytes. You can clearly see what it's all about. Yeah, it's some other stuff. This values controller, the default one generated by the ASP.NET MVC. I was not even bothering myself with removing this. I'm too smart for removing the class for it. Models. Oh, that's actually, yeah, mixing data access. So the CTX, some seed also. I have no clue what it's actually this complaining about. Oh, actually the namespace I see now, the namespace is wrong. Models.data access is the correct one, but at this point I was not probably have the resharper, no tools for refactoring, so I was not bothering myself with it. DTOs, geez, that actually quite a lot of different DTOs. Okay, managers. That's actually the role manager from the ASP.NET Identity, probably, yeah, ASP.NET Identity. So that was actually the implementation of the user manager, role manager, etc. The binding models, I have no clue what is that. Okay, some data annotations for the validation, etc. Providers, that's actually the OAuth for the OIN, and this is how the user was authenticated. So as you can see, grant resource owner credentials, DB context, dependency injection. Jesus, I'm a tough guy. I know how to create my dependencies of my own. So new context, new system user manager. But the await is in here, so that's a good. I'll also put a comment, very useful. So this goes first. This is the second step, and this is the third step. Yeah. Thanks, Captain Obvious. Like, I would expect the program to execute other way around. I have no clue why this actually was written in here. No clue. Let's see what's next. Once again, this one, some other crappy code. Task from result object null. And yeah, this looks like a great conclusion of my engineer's thesis. Challenge result. Yeah, task execute async, non-async, non-await. Task from result response is the one that you want to see. Scripts, oh geez, that's JS, so please no. Helpers. Well, that I was actually using extension methods. That's a surprise, but I've never used this method, so I create this. So yeah, I wanted to impress the reviewers, and I just wanted to show that I am capable of writing the extension methods, but yeah, I've never used it. The destination of T. Okay, that's actually not that bad. We've seen this and the views that are probably also not very interesting. So a lot of code, most of it qualifies to be either removed or forgotten or refactored, but probably rewritten would be the fastest. Actually, when I see the amount of this code, I must say that when I was writing this, I thought that it took me forever to come up with this. Of course, there was the whole searching about different algorithms. Of course, I had to write the whole report about how I created this, the design of this application. But this actually is also what the hell is that? So CSS color RGBA, not the RGB. RGB was for the amateurs, and the A was for the pros. So yeah, I have no clue. Probably there's some sort of I have no clue what it's actually this color is, but RGB, some sort of blue, I don't know. CSS color white, probably that was used somewhere in the HTML for the style or something. I have no clue, but yeah, you can see now what was my level in 2016. Yeah, probably 2015, because I started 2016, and what type of code I was producing. So hopefully you like this code tour. I must say, I at some point I really enjoyed watching this sort of code, and of course I'm not blaming myself and anyone who would write that sort of code. Once again, hey, all of us at least once in our life have created this kind of code, and I would say that now in certain cases I would still write something like that, like injecting DB context into controller. If I would be on a certain hackathon, time matters, or it's very simple POC or something that it just needs to work, and I know that I will never come back to this code. Actually in this particular case, I actually never came back to this source code. It actually, I would say, you need to be pragmatic and creating always clean architecture with CQRS. You need to create certain abstractions, follow DIP. Yes, we know that, but you need to distinguish situation in which you're creating the production code for for the client, which needs to be maintained by multiple developers, and you basically are just one developer within this whole thing. And the code, which is rather a tool and not necessarily gonna be maintained in the long term. Those are two separate things. So, of course, once again, context is a king, and depending on the context, you can relax certain principles and certain patterns to just create something which maybe is not that ideally modular or ideally separated, but it's just simpler. But yeah, once again, I really enjoyed this code through, hopefully you as well. And what can I say? Of course, if you're at the beginning of your journey, once again, you need practice. You need a lot of practice, and the coding is the most important part. Of course, the materials that you will use for becoming a better developer is also very crucial. And like a week ago, Peter recorded a video about relying too much on the technical documentation and why this should not be treated as like source of truth about how the architecture should look like. I would say that you need to gather the information from certain sources and try to make the decision based on few options and see the pros and cons and different perspective of different developers. Because just like we on DevMentors, we together with Peter have like certain opinions about certain things. Other may disagree with that and may have other arguments against that. So it's normal, and it's good to find different sources and just to gather the experience based on the materials. I would say well structured, well prepared for you to understand the concepts first and apply them carefully and with deeper understanding into your source code. So of course it's slightly not a coincidence that I'm mentioning all those materials, because just at the beginning, so Monday next week, it's gonna be May 16th, we are releasing our third full course on our platform, so Solid Web API for developers who are, I would say, rather on the beginning of their journey, or maybe they are now doing the web development, the web APIs, but they don't feel it. They want to be more comfortable and they want to apply and create the code which is like easy to maintain and easy to extend with if some new features will come. So I'm really happy that we are finally releasing this, because many people with the less experienced were asking about this sort of material, and actually this completes the whole, I would say, development path for the on our platform, because now we have the Solid Web API, so I would say solid foundations for the web development in general, and how to adapt certain principles from the industry and the patterns to create pretty much nicely structured layered monolith. And we also have the modular monolith, so slightly more advanced topic with few, I would say, flavors of the step number 3, which would be the microservices. So it completes the whole path, and hopefully now newcomers who will join our DevMentors army will be satisfied with the content that we've created. Also, I just wanted to say that within next weeks, new materials will appear. Probably next week you could expect the messaging in distributed systems, episode number 4, I guess. What can I say? I would strongly recommend, I'm not quite sure, I think it's somewhere in here. So subscribing our channel, clicking this red button, because the algorithms are pain for us. Probably that because we are recording too long videos, but yeah, this is just our style. But if you're not subscribing our channel, but you're appreciating our work, I would be very glad if you could just subscribe. And also I would encourage you to join our Discord and Instagram. especially Discord, because there are quite a few discussions in there, and the number of members that we have in there, almost, I think it already reached 600. And the Instagram also, sometimes we put some additional materials in there, so maybe this is something that you would also enjoy. But this is it for today, and till the next time.